Hey there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. Today I have a really exciting open source project to share with you guys. Well, maybe not with vercel, but with you. It's called Coolify. It essentially allows you to deploy any sort of application you want from Go, Python. You can do next.js. I'll show you how we can do next.js in this tutorial, all on a VPS in just a couple of minutes. I haven't really talked about vercel or anyone else on this channel. I usually just do my tutorials and get the fuck out of here. But I don't have any beef with vercel or anything. I know a couple of people are gonna probably think I have some beef with them. I really don't. They're doing their business. That's great. But I am a bit wary of the future. I'm like, what's a shame? That you're probably gonna get so many. Just think about it in the last 2, 3 years, right? There's such a big wave of new developers coming in, trying to learn programming, and that's just a beautiful thing. And with Next.js being the most popular framework out there, everyone's kind of gonna go down that path, especially new people, right? Of kind of building their Next.js app and then deploying it on Vercel. And just this thought that someone's gonna shoot themselves in the foot and make some stupid loop in there, and then they don't have a limit set, and they're gonna rack out like $300,000 bill for the traffic that shouldn't even happen in the first place. So I should highlight more stuff like this on the channel. So I want to give Coolify a proper, showcase here. And also SSD, is a fantastic alternative as well. That's more connected with AWS. So let me know if you want to see that. I think in the future, because I'm relaunching my new course platform, I'm just gonna probably do it on a VPS. And I know like people are like, well, but serverless, get. Don't care, man. Like, honestly, at this point, like, if for some reason, if my site ever received 300,000 traffic out of nowhere, and if it falls down, I'd be like, oh shit, look, that fell. I should probably get home real quick and put up a couple more servers and do some load balancing. And that'll be the end of it. And, at the end of the day, we're probably just gonna go to sleep and worry about what we're gonna have for breakfast. Okay, so the first step is to get a VPS. Now you can use Headster, you can use DigitalOcean, Linode. I don't have a strong opinion about any of them. Pick whichever you feel is the right one for you. I'm using Headster now. I like their UI, and some of their prices are pretty good. So I'll add a server here. So once you get into your account, you can create a server. So let's go here. The location here matters, especially if you have a database that depends how you want to do this. I am running a couple of my applications on MeonDB, and I believe that's on US East. So Ashburn here would be the closest to US East. I think the distance is like 200 miles or something between the one they have on MeonDB. So again, I'm just choosing the one that's closest to the database. Now for the image here, I'm gonna pick Ubuntu 24.04. So for the type here, I'm just gonna use a shared vCPU for now. I guess if you have a more serious project, you can upgrade over to a dedicated CPU, but the prices are still quite fine. Coolify does require 2 gigabytes of RAM and 2 vCPUs. So this one has 3 and 4 gigabytes of RAM. So that's pretty good. So this is €8 a month that's showing here. So yeah, pretty good. What you can also do with Coolify is, because some people say, oh, well, it does require some system resources to get it up and running, but you can just have a server that's dedicated for running Coolify, and then connect the rest of your different types of servers here to essentially route that traffic over. So I've ran this and put like a couple of projects on there, and it was still like barely hitting anything. So I'm gonna go with this one for now. Now for the networking, we want to make sure we have public IPv4 and IPv6 activated as well. Now for the SSH key, we'll need to generate this one. So now we want to generate an SSH key for us. And I guess it doesn't really matter if you're on Windows, Mac, or whatever. If you have Git installed, you probably have Git Bash installed as well. So if I open my terminal, as you can see, we have Git here, ready to go for us. So we can use the command ssh key gen like that. And when you press enter, this is going to generate you a key. Now I had a problem with this where I generated the key, added it to Hetzner, and it wouldn't work. And the reason is because I used an older version of Git, and it still would generate, the cryptography would be with SHA and not the ED521, whatever it's called. So run a git update just to make sure. And as you can see, mine's up to date. So when you run the SSH keygen command now, it's going to use the latest version of cryptography. And when you run this command as well, it'll be here in your C users, and then it's going to create a folder here .ssh like that. Now you can access that if you run a cat, and then you go to the .ssh, and you basically want this one, the pub key. All right, this that ends with a pub extension. So again, in this case, like this is what Git also has on their one of the pages. There you go, SSH cat into SSH ID RSA.pub. But that's not going to be available, so we're going to need to use this one instead. So let's go here, and right before the pub, we'll paste that in. So ID, no, there we go, ID ed25519.pub. And when you hit enter, it's going to open that, and you can copy it over into your Hetzner. And now that we have the SSH key added here, we're going to leave firewall off for now in volumes and all of this. We're going to turn firewall back on later on. And here for the labels and config, you can also add like little scripts that you want. If you want to like set up a user automatically, they have a little cool resource here that you can have a look. So basic cloud config, and here you can add like a little script to like create a user and also add like a public SSH key with it, but we can do this later on. It's really not a big deal. So I just close everything up and create the server. So let's hit create and buy now. Okay, now that our server is up and running, we can SSH into it as root. So let's copy over this public IP, and we'll say SSH root at, and we'll paste in the IP. And there we go. You're going to be presented with this message. We're going to say yes here to connect. And there we go. We are in our server just like that. So now we can, here again, like if you really want to get into it, you can set up a user here. You can give it permissions. You can run a sudo apt update. But let's just get into Coolify for now. So we'll head over to Coolify. And all we need to do is run this one simple command here when you go to self-hosted, copy over this curl command and paste it in there. So this is going to take a little while. It's going to get Docker installed and everything to basically run that image. So let's wait for this to finish up, and then we will continue from there. Now, just following that install, they're automatically going to give you a public port here that you can copy over and access your UI dashboard, your admin dashboard. So paste that in there. And look at that, we are live. This is coming straight from our VPS here on port 8000 on register. Now this is open and not secure, so we need to set this up and then basically add our firewalls and make sure that this is running on a HTTPS protocol. So I just set this up quickly. We're gonna add a name, we're gonna add an email address. Let's do a password as well. Make sure you don't forget these. There we go. And hit register. There we go. We're going to hit welcome. We're going to hit next here. Now, do you want to deploy your resources to your local host or a remote server? In this case, local host is our VPS. So we want to make sure it's local host. There we go. And then you create a new project and let's do it. Let's do it. We're in. We are running. So the first step I probably want to do is point a domain to this. So I'm using Namecheap, so let's do it through Namecheap. I'll go to domains. So I'm gonna try to push up a Next.js project I recently built, which is a landing page for my Ultimate Next.js course. Check it out, by the way, really fun course, 25 hours of content, making an e-commerce platform. Yeah, check out ultimateNextJS.com, really happy with it. So let's try it with another domain and we'll just push up our GitHub to it. So here we go. I have another domain here that I'm not using currently. It's ultimatenext.store. So if I copy this over and paste it, as you can see, we got page not found, nothing there. Cool. And that's what we want. So what we'll do instead is we'll go here to the advanced DNS. There we go. And here for the host, I'll put 2 A records basically. We'll do a @ and a star, and I'm gonna point both of these over to my new server. So my new server is running on this IP, so I'll just copy over the public IP, go here, and let's edit this and paste that new one in. Okay, now that this new one is in, that's pretty much all I need to do in my Namecheap. So let's head back over to Coolify. we'll head over here to settings. And as you can see, we need to set up an instance domain. Now, this is where we access our Coolify admin dashboard, basically. So I can point it to a subdomain. So this is our ultimate next.store. Well, as you can see, it gets recognized now. It's HTTP. As you can see, the connection is not secure. But when I go to it, at least it gets recognized, which is really good. For the instance domain, I'm going to paste the same thing in here. I'm going to remove the www. I don't need that. We'll do ultimate next. And let's do coolify.ultimatenext.store like that. I'll leave the same DNS server here. That's fine. And I'll just hit save. So I should be able to access this like that now. And let's see if we can. It might take a while, for this to actually work, but looks like we can. Lovely. So as you can see, there's a lot of things you can do here. You can do shared variables, you can hook up an S3 storage to it. But one thing we want to do is head over to our server here, open up this local host, and as you can see, we have a wildcard domain. This essentially allows you to generate a subdomain for each and every single one of your projects. I was like thinking, yeah, I wonder if there's a way where you can just hook up any domain to any project that you want to make. And I think I found how to do that. So I'll show you that as well. But for the domain here, let's just put in ultimate next.store like that. Okay, so there we go. We'll leave everything else the same. And let's hit continue here to save this. Perfect. Now let's go to projects here. And this is where essentially we want to import a GitHub repo, right? So you can do add resource, and as you can see, we have a public, private repository. You can add a Postgres, Redis. Look at this. This is fantastic, isn't it? But what I want to do is add a private repo instead. So to create a private repo, we'll need to add a GitHub app here. So I'll just click on that. You can give it any name you want. Let's call this next landing here. And that's it. You just hit continue. Okay, and then it says you must complete this step before you can register the application. So for the webhook endpoint, I'm just going to use that Coolify ultimate next.js.store like that, and I'm going to hit register now. So there we go. It's going to take you to GitHub, and then it's going to ask you to confirm this on your phone. So let's do that quickly. So there we go. This is automatically going to create a GitHub app here for us. Now I already made one when I was doing the test for this, so I'll just make a different name. You don't need to do this if you are doing a public repo. You just need to paste in the public repo then. But let me just log in again. And we're gonna hit install repositories here on GitHub. I'll add all repositories, that's fine. And there we go. We are in and ready to go. So now if we head back to our project, I'll go to my first project, add a new resource. We'll do a private GitHub repo. We'll do it on the local host here as a standalone Docker. We'll hit the Next.js landing here. And as you can see, I get to select a repo from my GitHub. So I'll do the ultimate Next.js landing page, hit load repository, and we are good to go. I can also specify the port I want to run in. I'll do 3000 on this one. I had another project that was running up. I just changed it to 3001. But that's pretty much it. We'll leave Nix specs here on, and you can even specify if it's a static website. But let's just hit continue for now, and that's pretty much it. And look at this. Since we set a wildcard there, as you can see, it automatically generates us a subdomain like that. So let's leave the default one, but I've noticed that you can just switch this out and put any that you want, and that seems to be working fine. And this is kind of like the traffic config. If you've done any stuff with like Caddy, this is similar to that. And here you can specify like, oh, I want to gzip this, I want to let's encrypt this, the port I want to run in. But the cool bit is that like when you change stuff here, it's going to automatically update this label here for you. So if I want to run this on port 3001. It's automatically going to switch it here, which is pretty cool. So let's leave it at 3000. Let's just try deploying it like this, the way it is, right? It's just a Next.js project without any other, configurations. And if we get back to the home screen here, as you can see, we have one deployment being queued up here for our local host. And there we go. It's building it now. You can even go here to the logs and see like this is where you're going to actually see, hey, we're serving the application. Next.js is serving this application on port 3000. And there we go. It says the project is up and running. So if we go over here to logs, you're going to see, hey, look at that. We got next.js all up and running on localhost 3000. Awesome. Now, since this gave us a domain here, so if we check, right, we go to the project, here it is, click on it. There we go. That's the domain that we have. If we paste it there, look at that. We're up and running. This is running on our VPS, next.js. Let's go. It still says HTTPS, so something went wrong there. We might need to restart your proxy. So let's head over to the server here. We're going to leave everything by default, and let's just restart the proxy. Now, if you hit the restart proxy, you're probably going to be like, oh crap, none of this works anymore. I cannot go to my Coolify to configure this, nor can I go to my ultimate next.store. And this is the reason why we haven't added a firewall yet, just so we can still access it on this open port here on the 8000. So if you go your IP and press 8000, that's still going to work here. So so the restart proxy, it looks like it doesn't restart it, it just stops it. So let's start it back up. There we go. Let's get this up and running and see if it's going to generate those SSL certificates as well. And we're going through HTTPS before we can disable that. So let's start this back up and let's have a look. And look at that. We are secure. Connection is secure. Awesome job. Let's see if it's the same for the Coolify at next.store. So if we head here, there we go. See, we don't have that problem anymore. Fantastic. But if I just go over to ultimate next.store, this is still just going to say page not found. So this is where I was wondering, like, I have this one domain hooked up, which I want like Coolify to essentially control. Like that's the whole reason for it. But I want other domains, like every time I add a project here, right, I want to hook up a different domain to it. So I found out if you just go to the project here, rather than hit generate domain, just put in the domains that you want. So I want like ultimate next.store. And this is on a www. It's fine. That's not going to work for now. I mean, it's going to work, but it's not going to be secure. But if I just want ultimate next.store with a HTTPS, I'll just copy that over and paste that in there like that. And I can even add a comma and do a www version like that. And rather than hitting generate domain here, what I'm going to do is just hit save like that, and that's gonna, as you can see, create another container here label with all the new labels here with the domains that we set up, and then I can just redeploy this. So let's redeploy, and that's pretty much it. That should be all working now. Okay, so there we go. The update has been rolled out, so this should work now. So I should be able to just go to a project that I want, developed by Ed. Here we go. And let me try to copy this domain over. So it's our base domain here, right? Let's paste that in there. Boom, look at that. It's like magic. It's like it's not even that hard to do all of this stuff, isn't it? Let's try the www version, because this didn't work when I tried it without. It works. So there you go. You can do whatever you want. Look, www. I'm not lying to you. And that's it. And then for here on out, it's pretty much, you know, if you want to add environment variables, you can go here and add an environment variable. We can set a firewall now. So now that this is running, we can just go to Coolify ultimate next.store to access our dashboard. We can close up that unsecured connection. We'll need to do that through Hetzner. So if you go to Hetzner, you go to firewalls, and let's just add 3 that are really important here. So we'll do a TCP through port 2022, so that's for SSHing. Coolify requires port 80 here, and we'll add another one, which is gonna be for our HTTPS port here, like that. Okay, so these are the 3 we need to add, and we'll create it. Oh, you can apply the source here to that server that we just made as well, and hit create. And there we go. So now, hopefully, if you follow those steps, we should just be able to, we'll not be able to connect to it anymore if we just paste in like that. Okay, with the port 8000. Firewall should block that now. So there we go. It's not loading, so it probably worked. However, yeah, let's enter here as well. Shouldn't work. Lovely. But if we go to Coolify, ultimate next.store, there we go. That's still up and running. Okay, so there we go. I'll like keep my eye on Coolify. I'll report on it. It's still being developed. So many new updates are coming out to it, which is fantastic. Again, like I'm rebuilding my platform now, so I think this is the route I might go with, is just deploying it on a VPS and then having fun from there. Okay, thank you so much for watching this episode. Hope you liked it. Drop a sub, drop a like, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.